Stealership Stories, where I need you to please return to the shop. I need my tools that I left under your hood, Mr. Customer.
I hate making that call.
How many times did you're in a hurry, so you got to get the car done and ship it. It's good to go. Detail runs by, picks it up, runs into the car wash, up to the front. I'm putting my tools away. Lo and behold, my 90-degree pick is missing.
My 10 mil.
The 10 mil, the infamous. I have 4 10-millimeter sockets.
Yeah?
4 5-millimeter Allens. 3 13-millimeter swivels. 2 impact universals. And 1 giant hemorrhoid. No.
It happens to the best of us.
To the best. There are so many.
The best of them.
There was the one time our lovely coworker borrowed my 2 17-millimeter wrenches to do a fuel injection service and left them both under the hood of the car. So I went out and bought 2 more to replace those. 6 months to a year later, the car finally returns. So now I've got 4 in my toolbox.
And on the other side of things, a good place to find lost tools is in the entrance and exit to your local dealership.
Oh, absolutely. you got the car driving out and you just hear ting, 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 stuff falling out. But nothing beats the bonus tool.
Oh, the bonus tool is fantastic.
You pull down the underbody panel. I've got a drawer full of
great stuff.
I got a sanding block, which I never used it, but I got a sanding block from a body shop.
That's not good.
Pliers, wrenches. 10 mil socket, you'll be removing an engine and come to find the socket stuck in the frame from somebody else. There's many times that we've made other technicians extremely happy because you're like, hey, remember a couple of years ago you were working on that car? I finally found that missing socket.
Here's your $30 Snap-on
absolutely.
wrench bag.
So we want to touch on Stealership Stories. The term stealership comes from
mostly the internet.
Extremely the internet.
A lot of the internet.
But don't interrupt. So the stealership comes from the dealership word plus steal.
Whoa.
Right? I know. You'd have thought that it might have been.
I didn't.
I friend requested someone. We have a Facebook page, Stealership Stories.
Follow us on Facebook.
We got an email, stealershipstories@gmail.com.
Email us.
We're on Pandora.
Oh, yeah.
Spotify.
Yes.
iTunes.
Oh, yeah.
Google Play. And my cell phone, if you ever want to listen. Just so you know.
We can individually email you the audio file.
I will come to your house and I will play it for you and I will watch the expressions on your face.
Right. That would be great feedback.
People have called the dealer stealership because, A, they may have went there and got an extremely bad experience. The car,
it does happen.
It happens, too much, right? Because that should be the end all be all, right? So it's the manufacturer's home base, kind of, right? Yeah, you represent the brand. If this is, sir, you just told me that the place I should go is where these guys work on this all the time. So I took it there. They overcharged me what I thought for the stuff. And they didn't even fix it right the first time.
And it's got a new problem.
They fixed it 50%. I had to go back to get the other 50%.
Oh,
because it was on intergalactic back order. Right?
So it's in the hands of the shipping gods.
It's in the hands of the shipping gods. Oh, yeah. So you go there and you get a bad experience, right? Are you going to return again to give them a second chance? Probably not. Because every 10 feet down the road, there's another mechanic shop. There's another dealer. Somebody knows somebody who knows how to work on cars. There's YouTube certifications for fixing your own car, which we've been over. But it really kind of affected us because we were such good, what I feel was ambassadors, not only the brand, but of the dealership world. Because I myself, after my schooling, that's the only place I worked was the dealership. I did have a small stint at an independent shop after I left the dealership. But that was just more to solidify that I wanted to get out of working on cars.
I do recall that vividly.
Yeah. Let me try, to just go out on my own a little bit, right?
Am I sure?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure. So, you got this, negativity. You got this negativity towards the dealership world and the dealership techs. We are expensive, right? It's a big building. That service fee has to feed the whole business. The sales doesn't make a lot of the defined dollar amount. It's all in service, right?
Yeah, the gross comes from service, not sales.
So when the car comes back for service, you do have the guy who wants to sell you everything in the world because he wants to make that buck.
Right. They are out there.
They are out there. And I'll tell you what runs that, right? So me and you, we know we both start out with low incomes at the dealer, right? And over time, you get better at your craft, which in turn you end up making more money, right?
Right.
There's a plus and a minus to that. So I found myself with brand new truck, brand new motorcycle, a couple sports cars, buying everything that the tool guy had to offer, going on trips with, the family and friends or whatnot. So you run up the debt because you're making that good cash.
Right.
The money's just pouring in. I'm booking 90 hours a week. I got all this cash. Let me go buy some stuff, right?
The American dream.
But then what you do is you set the bar. Now you have to make that dollar amount, right?
You got to make those payments.
So that's extremely rough because that's what creates more animosity because you're fighting your coworkers and you're fighting your managers and your boss. I got to make that money. I want that car. I should have sold that job. You got to sell this. We got to sell it. This ticket isn't enough. Let me just sell an extra something just to book the hours for the day, right? So notice that as we wean towards extremely in debt to finagling ourselves out of debt, it's more relaxing, right?
Absolutely.
Because you just get to present what's to the customer, and if you don't buy it, it's cool.
Right.
I don't need to make that $100 that I would have made off of that.
It's not high pressure from our side. We're just presenting a solution to the problem you presented us.
Absolutely. So, we do want to stress that if you're in the field, one thing that I did after quite a bit of years before I realized it is if I knew that I consistently booked 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week, I would say once I get to my 40-hour pay, that pay is my bill pay, and that's what I'm basing all of my finances off of, is at 40 hours. Because I know no matter what happens, I'm always going to hit 40 hours, right? Sure. Anything above that, that's money in the bank, paying off some stuff, securing my future, getting some retirement going.
Right.
So if you're out there, there is you get a different attitude towards selling and creating estimates when you don't have to make that dollar amount. So keep that in mind. But going back to the dealership, you go there, you go to a dealership, and some of them may take advantage of you for that reason. Some of them may just not know what they're doing, and in that instance, your car got screwed over. You put too many, they put too many parts on the car. They sold you everything in the system. Nothing fixed it. But, our advocacy is to let you know that there are good ones out there. I don't want to say they're far and few between. I want to assume that every dealership is good. There just happens to be that bad employee or the bad manager that wants to fire a customer.
Right. And that's my opinion too. It starts from the top. We've both worked for owners, for dealer principals that are not good, that don't take care of their employees. And that whole attitude passes right on down to the client. The clients see right through it. They know what's going on. They realize that everything is not running as it should, and there are facilities in our area that we have a little better inside info on, that over and over again different people have purchased and tried to continue on the old method of running things, and it's just never successful. If you get a good owner, a good dealer principal that takes care of their employees, it passes right on down to the client, and you can build that strength.
Absolutely. And we can't even say that I can't tell you which ones to watch out for. I can't say if it's a family-owned business, go there,
right,
or stay away, because you get both sides.
Correct.
Some family-owned ones, they're family-owned, so they want to do right by the family name. So they do everything the way they should, and they take care of the people. Then you got some family ones where the dad and mom own it. The uncle is the sales manager.
Right.
The nephew is the service manager, and the niece is the parts manager. and no one is ever going to get a chance to move up because the family is in bed into that dealer, and they're stuck in their ways. They don't want to learn. They do what they do, and it is what it is, and you're not going to do anything to change them. So it's you can kind of tell in talking to the employees, right? If they're paying attention to you, and as you're talking and explaining about the car, they're not texting on the phone, or they're not finishing up their email, right? Or they're not cleaning up their area, and they're actually asking you more questions. If you walk to the counter and say, "Here's what's wrong with my car. I got a noise," and they say, "Okay, you got a noise. Anything else?" All right, they obviously don't care because they didn't ask you, when does the noise happen?
Questions.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything more you can tell me? Is there anything else? Would you like to go for a ride with a tech? Anything like that.
And from a service writer's perspective, you're better off to get those out of the way, because the technician is just going to come up to you and
repeatedly,
and tell you, call the guy. When did this happen? Why is this here? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it what speed? Is it turning? Whatever the case may be, if it's a rattle or a drivability concern. But that's one of those things that makes an easy tell for if an employee gives a shit about you or not. They will ask you follow-up questions, or will...
Absolutely. If, you shouldn't have to force information upon them. They should just continue to ask you until it's borderline diagnostics right there in the write-up.
Sure.
Because you ask enough questions, well, we know what makes a certain noise at a certain speed or a certain kind of bump. So if we get all those questions out of the way,
right,
I give it to the guy in the back, or I get the information in the back, I should be able to read that customer complaint and not have a question to ask you. I should be able to take that piece of paper or that electronic copy or whatever, however your business does it, and I should be able to figure out exactly what the client needs.
Specifically how to reproduce that issue.
Yeah, or where I need to go to fix it. I shouldn't have to be able, to stop and say, "Oh man, here's another ticket. Customer states noise," and that's all
trying to figure it out.
Absolutely.
And that's another good indicator of a person that cares about their job and is interested in getting your car fixed and back down the road, is their response to your information, your initial request. And that's another part of being a good client, is being able to communicate and pass along the information in a thoughtful, meaningful way. And other than my car has a rattle, well, that's just not enough to go on.
It's so vague. Inside, outside, left side, right side, front side, back side.
People hear so many different things, and as people age, they tune out different frequencies than a technician riding in your car may hear. It may hear 10 or 15 different rattles, and you may be ignoring the change in the center console or the garage door opener clipped to your visor. But be specific. Have that conversation with the person you're checking in with, and it makes everyone's life and job a lot easier. And in the end, you'll have your car fixed properly too, and the person will take care of what you're requesting.
Well, I'll tell you, another thing, when you go to call your service center and make an appointment, right? So they know you're coming in. If you ask them, when should I bring my car in? And their answer is, well, we're open at 7 and we close at 5, so anytime is fine. They're not really paying attention to you specifically, right? They just come on in whenever and we'll figure it out, right? I would set my appointments when I was an advisor to say, okay, I want you here at 8 o'clock. If that works for you before work, I want to give us a good 15 to 20 minutes to talk about your car to make sure I got all of your complaints. And then in the meantime, since we set this appointment up for a week, I'm going to look through your service history and I'm going to see what your car may need. And then I'll call you back and give you the estimate. That way, by the time you come in, we've got all that figured out. We're not going to spend more than 20 minutes, on anything additional than discussing the car to make sure that I'm giving you the time that you deserve to figure out what's going on with your car. And that saved so much headache, because you tell people, oh, we open at 7. Guess when they're going to show up? 7:01.
Right.
10 of them. And then now you're so overwhelmed.
Just trying to get people
everybody's got to go to work, and instead of giving everybody their individual attention to figure out what they need, you just, what do you got? Cool. All right.
Next.
Shuttle. Take and the next one. So
time management goes a long way. It's huge.
It goes a long way. And I've never understood some places that have a BDC, a business development center.
Sure.
They want to funnel the calls to themselves to minimize. They're like a firewall before the advisor, right?
Right.
So they keep you doing your paperwork, calling the clients you need to call, and you're not taking every phone call that comes in. But then again, in a small town, most people just want to talk to you.
Right.
So they feel kind of put off that they're stopped. I just want to talk to Ralph. Well, is there something I can help you with? Yeah. Let me get Ralph because I already told you I want to talk to Ralph, right?
And a lot of times you can better plan your day and better develop your technician time because of that. You know what's coming in. You've worked the same brand for a number of years. You're going to have the same issues over and over again that most of the time you may know right off the top of the conversation, and you can plan accordingly. Just all about planning and execution, and it goes a long way.
We had a guy that he would schedule and sell, and he was extremely good at what he did, but he was worried about the tax bracket. So once he hit a certain dollar amount through the year, he would just stop selling stuff.
Yeah,
because he was worried about the taxes. Like, what's worse, not making anything more and saving some on taxes, or making more and spending a little bit more on taxes? And it killed the technicians because we would bring him something, and he would just look at us and go, "Yeah, they don't want to buy that."
Right?
Like, what are you talking about? You didn't even call anybody. Oh, I already know these people.
Right?
They don't want to buy that.
Right. And a lot of it is figuring out your coworkers' nuances and the intricacies of working with people and how to get people to do what you need them to do.
Well, you got some managers that say the BDC is good because they don't want to leave the scheduling up to the advisor, because what if you had a dentist appointment that day, right? So you would decide that you would schedule all your work around that, which means that there may have been a possibility that one or two more cars couldn't get in that day because you need a little tooth fixed, right? But then on the offset of that, well, you were able to get something done that needed to get done. You were able to take some personal time that you needed to get done, because everyone deserves a vacation, a sick day, a personal day. You'll just run yourself ragged working, 70 hours a week, nonstop, and weekends, and just taking no time off for yourself to get personal stuff done.
And you can plan around it. I've always treated my desk and my position as my own little business. It's when you have more control over it, that's the best case scenario. At a certain point, if the call volume and workload volume becomes too much, you may not have a choice but to deal with the BDC. And most of the time, you can give your own clients and the people that you see on a regular basis your direct line. They can contact you directly. They can text you. They can email you. There's so many good forms of communication these days that we're able to use and able to get appointments set, work done, communications. I mean, sending pictures to clients has probably been the best thing about having smartphones and being able to show people what's going on with their car at that exact time.
And you're sure that you can be sure that they look at the picture, they have no idea they're looking at, but you know what? You provided them what they asked for, good enough for them. Right. I mean, hey, I asked for a picture. He didn't say, well, I don't really think you should see. He just says, hey, you want it? Here it is, And then, okay, well, tell you what, he showed me. I guess it looks right. So
show and tell
is what it is. Yeah. What am I going to say? No, that ain't right.
Right. It goes a long way. And then over time, you'll also develop that trust where it may not be required. People will take your word for it. And there are things you can say, you're at 30,000 miles. You can wait and do your air filter at 40, even though it's 4 years old. Different little points like that. The manufacturer does recommend it this time, but you've only got this mileage on it. And little things like that will make people trust you more. And you did your job by telling them it's due now because of time. Mileage, you don't put a lot of miles on it, so we can do that next time and do this other thing, this other repair, tires, what have you, this visit. But you also have the clients that just want to get everything done, and no matter what. And,
that's for sure.
You'll get to know that over time, and you'll have those conversations and move on to that repair and get it knocked out onto the next one.
So our goal, and in the brands that we service, we didn't have very, or let me say, we had very few like probably can count on one hand instances where somebody really thought we were taking advantage of them, or they were just in a bad position, personally. Right. So it's they wanted someone to unleash on.
Sure.
And they unleashed on us. One client that comes to mind, he dropped off his car with one advisor. The advisor just was kind of like, yeah, whatever, that's what you need. Cool, sounds good to me. And what he wrote on the repair order to me was nothing that the customer said. So here, I actually found a problem with whatever else was there, right? And then I fixed that, drive the car around, didn't notice anything odd with the car. He comes to pick it up, gets right in it, and I was there late that day. I was the only one there. There was It was like 7 o'clock at night. I'm working in the shop by myself. He comes up, picks up the car, comes back in, throws the keys on a counter, and just starts yelling and screaming. So I did what I naturally do. I got involved, and I chased him out to the service drive, and I said, I don't want to say his name, but I said, sir, what are you so upset for? I brought my car here, and I told you what it needed, and you didn't fix anything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Let me get the paperwork, and we'll go through it. So I got the paperwork, and I told him what I found, and he's like, I never said anything about the navigation. I had no problems with the radio. I'm like, well, all these cars have a problem with the radio, and the complaint that I was told was customer states that there's an issue with, the drive-in sensors or the navigation, right, the antenna or something like that. And he goes, no, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about my parking sensors. I'm like, all right, well, I had no idea about that. So let's tell you what, keep the loaner car. I'll tell the manager you got the loaner car. Let me keep your car. I'll go through it and I'll figure out what's going on with it. He was mad, and as I'm talking to him, he's rolling his eyes like a 14-year-old girl.
Sure.
And this dude was like 60s, right?
Right.
I don't take well to blatant disrespect, right? So here I am trying to plead my case and be nice to you
with a grown ass man.
With a grown ass man who's rolling his eyes and giving me okay,
right.
All right. So I kind of yelled, what the F is your problem? And he got wide-eyed. And I says, dude, you cannot be this mad at me for a goddamn car, right? That there's nothing really that wrong with it. It was an update for software and whatever else you have. I'm sure I can fix it. No problem. It's under warranty. It's not coming out of your pocket. Sure. Right. It's a little bit of your time, but I can't believe you would be that mad at me. And he goes, you know what? I'm sorry.
Sure.
That's okay. And he goes, I don't give a shit about the car. I only bought that car because my daughter thought I would look cool in the car. So that's why he bought the car. Okay. Then he tells me, he's like, man, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have to deal with my wife. He's like, she's trying to pass the bar exam and she drives me crazy every night because that's all she wants to do is study, study, study. And it's been taking a toll on me. He goes, I really don't care about this car. Take the time you need. I'm in no hurry for it. It was just something else that added to my day. We shook hands. We may have bro hugged front to back, back to front. and yet again, customer for life. Always came there, always asked for me.
Sure.
Come to find out, right? So here's where the plot thickens. So come to find out, he had an accident that the good body shop fixed, right? Because only a couple in town. Right. The good body shop fixed, so you had no idea there was an accident. Sure. But they forgot to plug in the parking sensors.
Right.
Okay. I didn't know because I wasn't looking for the parking sensor because the button was pushed off. When it's pushed off, it doesn't set a warning, right? Because it's not active. All I had to do was plug them back in. Now, because it was an accident, it wasn't warranted.
Right.
But I took care of them. I spent my time, claimed it under warranty as a bad connection, right? Sure. Which, was years and years and years ago. And I covered him on that. So he's covered. Nothing out of pocket. He had a loaner car. He had physical damage, which wasn't warranty that I took care of for him.
Sure.
I yelled at him, screamed the F word in his face, but we became friends.
Escalated.
And every time he came in, as usual, he would want to talk to you or he would want to talk to Lou. And he would come to me and tell me his complaint direct because he didn't want it to get twisted between the advisor and the technician. And that made for a good relationship. So, along the lines, again, of tough conversations to have, and people thinking that we're out there to get them, that's not always the case, right? So we did our damnedest to make sure that people knew we were there to help them, and we'll continue to be there to help them. Look at right now. I don't even work at a dealership anymore.
Right.
I can give a shit less what you think about it. Okay. I mean, in a sense, that's fine. That's what you think about it, right? But I want the people to know that guys that work on cars and advisors and salesmen don't wake up and go, I wonder how I can screw someone today.
Right.
I wonder how I can steal from the next guy and make their day bad and ruin, their vacation to Florida or whatever the case is. That's not the case, right? So we come up with Stealership Stories because we want to shed some light on what happens behind the scenes and let you know that we're not all bad. It's the individual scenarios that the moons aligned just right. Your car was made on a Friday night, right? So everything bad that could go wrong did go wrong with those parts. Every time your car came in for some reason, which does happen, the part would be wrong or get misdiagnosed. There's cars that, I crap you not. We had a customer come in at the dealership, and my stories will go on forever, but oil changes. Every time he came in for an oil change, oil got on his car one way or another.
Sure.
So the manager tells me, Lou, I swear to God, if oil gets on this car, this guy's going to lose his shit. So I said, okay, I give it to a technician. The actual tech drives it and parks it in his bay, which happens to be 10 feet from the lube tech, right? They're up on the rack. This kid takes this oil filter out of his hand so fast, he unscrews it and picked it up so fast that it flung out of his rubber glove, bounced off of the rack, and landed on the hood of this guy's car. Oh, no. The hood was open, so it rolled down to the windshield wiper, and it's just pouring oil out of the filter between the windshield wiper and the glass.
Oh, no.
Of all the customers.
Of all the people.
We're 10 feet away, and this thing made it that far. It was fate, okay? Sometimes things that go awry are just fate. And there was another instance. Car goes up onto the rack. They pick it up on a drive-on rack, like an alignment rack where you're driving on ramps. They took off the wheels to inspect the brakes. They put the wheels back on. The Lubitech goes to drive the car off, runs over all 4 hubcaps, crushes them.
Oh, my God.
Okay? So I go to my manager and I say, listen, here's what happened. I got to get 4 new ones ordered. She looks at me and she goes, are you effing kidding me? I go, why? She goes, the exact same thing happened to the exact same person the very last oil change 3 months ago. God. Okay?
No way.
Some cars are just, it's fate. They're just, things are meant to happen and there's nothing you're going to do about it. Your car's going to either, key's going to turn and it's going to start for you every single time. You're never going to need nothing. Just routine maintenance, and it'll last you 40 years. It's not going to rust. Nothing's going to break, right? Just wear and tear items.
I promise it's what you put out to the universe.
Oh, if you're a
negative person and are always causing problems for employees, we always talk about that too. It's the same person that comes to a dealership that throws a big fit and has problems every single time. That's also the person that complains at the restaurant that they're trying to return things to a store.
They've got an account on Yelp.
They review things. And at some point, I think we should do that and start reading through some of the reviews that people leave.
Oh, and they're embellished
of dealerships because it's impressive to hear people's stories, and especially if you know the whole story, the backstory to it, that person and what led up to that point of them leaving that negative review. And again, at some point we'll talk about CSI and how that ties into dealership personnel and their pay and the entire dealership as a whole. But
to touch on that, CSI is basically your
customer satisfaction index.
Yeah, well, it's not their review, but what is it? Their survey, right?
Right.
You get your car worked on, you get a survey in the mail. The advisor's pay is based, and the dealership bonuses are on your reviews that you give them. So, even the individual guy may be out there to try to sell you something to make a buck. He still has to, by the dealership guidelines, he's forced to treat you nice, or else he's not going to get paid if he gets bad surveys, right? So you got some guys who are doing it just because that's the way they get paid. But then there's the other guys that you can tell that they're just generally good people and they truly do want to help because they look you in the eye. They give you the time of day. They don't try to rush you through your sentences or is that all? Is that all? Is that all? Anything else? It just, or like you go through a drive-through. Yeah, I'd like a drink. Okay, $4. Well, I wasn't even finished talking. Right. So you can tell those kind of people. Yeah, exactly.
Small things go a long way.
So our job here with Stealership Stories is just, again, to solidify that the good ones are out there. We're not all bad.
We do exist.
We do exist. I'll tell you what, the worst thing is working for a dealer, bringing a car that's a different make and model to another dealer, and they screw you over.
Oh, sure.
How about the one dealership?
On the other side
they
of it.
plowed the car into the corner of the lot and said they didn't have time to work on it in a snowstorm. Another high-end brand that has 3 letters in the name that we can't mention, but it's insane.
AMC.
It's not AMC. They went out of business a couple months ago.
Right.
But you would think that working at one brand dealer that you're all in it together, right? That's not the case. Some people treat it like you're the enemy. You're a different brand. Which, our take of it was, we have a job to do. Can you help us get our job done? We'll help you if you need to get your job done. How many times did other dealerships bring me a car to look at? Oh, I would just diagnose it for them and let them get it back to fix it. So that way I'm not overcharging them, on making the money off them. But then there's the one guy who brought us the car. I diagnosed it. I gave it back to him. He puts the part in, calls me up and says, "You wasted my money. You misdiagnosed it." I says, "I'll tell you what, bring it back in. I'll re-diagnose it for free," which me as a technician, I don't have the pull to do that. That was on me, right?
Yeah.
Again, we did some stuff to take care of people that would have been shied upon or frowned upon if the dealer personnel knew, because you got to be working, you got to be making me money. Well, if I take care of the person, in the long run, we'll make the money, right? It's a long-term investment, no different than training, right? So I get the car back in, I take the transmission apart, come to find out, oh yeah, he replaced the part, but he left the protective rubber covers on. So when he plugged it in, no metal tabs were touching. Can you remember the car?
Sure. Oh yeah.
So, I'm the jerkbag that wasted his money, yet he's the dum-dum that didn't install it correctly. So I called him up. I sent him pictures. I says, "Here, man, no harm, no foul. I'm not even going to charge you. You put the part in and you didn't do it right." And apologies were followed, right? Yeah. He bowed down to the loo, right?
It happens. You get all sorts of crazy things in, and you can't always take things at the surface value. Sometimes you have to ask more follow-up questions.
Yeah, ask more, and when something happens right off the bat, don't fly off the handle. Talk through it with them. Most of the time, people are going to be cool. They don't intend to ruin your day. They don't intend to misdiagnose your car. There was times that I would tell a customer, "Listen, I'm 99.99999% sure this is going to fix it. But if it doesn't fix it, I will take the part back off, return it to parts. You won't pay for the part, and I won't charge you for the labor," right? Or depending on where the part was installed, sometimes you can't, right? So you're taking the gamble with me, right? I'm going to lose my time, but because you're getting a new part out of it, you still got to account for the part. So, they would work with us, because there are, some times where you just don't know until you swap a part from another car, right? Or change the part and see. I'm a great diagnostician, however you want to call it, but there are times you just, unless you're an electrical engineer, you just don't know what's happening inside that part, right?
Yeah.
So
testing only goes so far.
Yes. That something in this area is bad, right? So, I would say, let's say that a shop is giving you an estimate, and you ask him, "Is this going to fix it?" Well, yeah, it's going to fix it. Well, then I'll tell you what, if it doesn't fix it, where do we go from here? Am I liable for it? Right? What's wrong with asking those questions? Some people are afraid. Don't be afraid. It's your hard-earned money. It's your car. It's your investment. It's your baby, right?
That's right. And that's one thing I've learned with years in the business too, is there are some repairs where you have to prep the client that this is what we have to do to go to the next step. A lot of luxury vehicles are very sensitive to voltage. If we've got multiple fault warnings on the dash, multiple failures recorded by the car, but we also have a bad alternator, we have to put that alternator in first. It could clear up a lot of these things, and more than likely it will, but there still could be something that failed behind that we can't see without getting voltage back. Or there could have been something that was killed by the alternator when it failed. When it was spiked, it could have ruined or shorted out some other sensors. So there are situations where it comes down to it. You just have to have that first step taken in order to get to the final diagnosis. We see that a lot when the cars are brought into us far beyond when the initial problem, someone's been dealing with a check engine light, ABS,
swapping parts or adding things.
They've been dealing with this problem for months, and then finally the car stops running and it's brought into us. Well, the check engine light's been on for 8 months, and then the ABS light came on, then 1, 3, or 4 things. We get whatever caused the car to eventually die, and then it has all these warning lights on the dash.
You get it started and find out there's way more going on.
Right, and then you're the responsible for behind that. So there are cases, and usually you'll learn that with time, where you have to present that as this is the first step we need to take in this diagnostic tree in repairing what we found wrong with your car. We've got a older E-Class in the shop right now that is the same type of situation. It currently is pending on a $15,000 estimate. It's a 99 E-Class. Nice. It's worth 10% of that. It's just not worth putting $15,000 in it, but it at least needs $15,000 in repairs. But obviously the client is not going to spend $15,000 to get the car rehab, but wants to try to minimally get it running again.
Well, yeah. What can you do when the car doesn't run?
But we have shifter faults. The key's broken. The tip is exposed, and there's moisture being allowed into the key. But we also have no voltage from the alternator, and the battery's bad. So we have to start with something like an alternator battery in order to see what else clears up.
Right. Well, the bad part about cars in general nowadays is the cars are depreciating, yet the parts are going up.
Absolutely. You can buy...
I can't find a reason for that. If you got 1 million of these vehicles out there and 1 million of these parts mass produced in warehouses, why...
Right.
I can feel that pain when I look at a part and I go, there's no reason for this. How am I supposed to sell this to this customer?
Sure.
I wouldn't even feel comfortable putting this part in my car, right? $400 or $500 for one. If you added up the cost of the control units alone in a car.
Oh, sure.
You get to 10 control units at $400 a pop. You just exceeded the worth of almost any car on the road.
Right. Especially when you're getting into W220S classes, even 221s. You can buy a nice 2010, 2012 S-Class for $20,000. It was a $100,000 car new. Depending on options, it would range from, 80 to on up, depending on if AMG, whatnot. But
look at the cars are. Let's talk a little bit about the sophistication of cars.
Sure.
Okay. In an old car, you turn the key, a switch in the key cylinder would send power down a wire to the starter
relay
and start the car, or relay, start the car.
Sure.
2 or 3 different parts, right? Now you turn the key on, and the key is a control module along with the ignition switch, which tells another module
to unlock the steering column.
The key's being unlock the column. Then it tells another module, hey, the key's being turned, and that module decides to activate the relay to kick the starter over. Once the car starts, you've got an internal internet that connects all of the control modules together. So they're constantly, they're talking back and forth. No longer is there a wire. A lot of people, I've dealt with online, they go, I want to install a remote starter. I need to know where my RPM wire's at or my TAC wire. Like, buddy, there is none because there's 2 lines that plug into the dash and it talks over data lines. There's no jumping anything anymore.
It's just ones and zeros. It's not 12 volts.
Oh, absolutely. So, you would think that the average person can just get in there and figure out what's going on. You're not doing anything to a new car without a scanner. You have no idea what these control modules are seeing. You have no idea which ones are talking. And some brands, when you plug into the diagnostic port, the wires go to one module, and then from that module, it goes to every other one. So let's say you can't talk to anything. That one module you got to start with because you can't even get past that one. Right.
If it's dead, you can't get past like a central gateway. If that is dead, you're not going to be able to communicate with anything else.
There is a starting point. Hey, I have to start with this, right? And sometimes there's not even a guarantee that once you put that part in, that whatever caused that to fail is not still there ready waiting to fry the second one.
Fry it out. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
there's a gamble on that too. But the cars are just so sophisticated that sometimes it's not worth doing a YouTube video, taking it to an independent. And the main reason I don't like independents or other name brand shops is because there's no continued education.
Right.
They only know as they do.
Sure.
One day it's a Nissan, the next day it's a Honda, the next day it's a Mitsubishi, and they're the expert on that car that minute. They're working on that one little system, but they've got to take an hour to 2 hours, hopefully, just to refresh themselves how it works. I really hope that's what they're doing, because most guys pull it in. I've seen cars. I'll figure it out. Okay, cool. How are you going to figure it out? You do it the right way, or you do it the wrong way and just start throwing parts at it, and then when it doesn't fix it, take it to the dealer. Right. The infamous line.
Well, how many 163 MLs have we seen with brand new fuel pumps, brand new spark plugs, brand new coil packs?
People misdiagnose
brand new
anti-theft systems. All Chevy too. Okay. If your car has what's called an immobilizer system, there's a security light on the dash. You have a specific key that has to be, the correct key. You can't just get any old key from Ace Hardware. If your car starts and dies right away, or your car cranks and cranks and cranks and it says anti-theft or start error or shows a padlock or some kind of a flashing alarm, key, car symbol, just stop right there.
Yeah,
right?
It's not
Take it to somebody who knows. We've seen so many times that it starts and dies. Oh, I've worked on cars. It's got to be a fuel pump.
Right.
Okay, it's not a fuel pump. Well, it's got to be a crank sensor. Not a crank sensor. No. Well, it's got to be an injector. It's not an injector. It's got to be spark plugs. It's not spark plugs, right? What was it? A bad key.
Right. It's not worth the $150 you'd spend on having someone that is used to seeing those vehicles plug it in and tell you what's wrong. Even if you end up fixing yourself, which a lot of mobilizer stuff is just dealer only, but at the end of the day, at least and you're not throwing parts and parts and parts into something that you're not just going to be able to fix on your own.
And, sometimes, let's say there is somebody out there who has the equipment, right? They're a dealer tech. They've got their own stuff. They bought bootleg, right? They know how to fix the stuff, okay? Those are far few between. There are mobile technicians out there, mobile mechanics.
Yeah.
There are some mobile diagnosticians. We have one here local in Peoria. They got a lot of equipment that most shops don't have, and they just go around programming keys or swapping chips or whatnot. It's just not something that's the norm, right? So there's stuff out there you can buy bootleg and someone's smart enough to do it, but just because you saw that online or a YouTube video of someone doing it doesn't mean that it's common practice everywhere you go.
And you're going to easily be able to find that solution.
Yeah, it's not just readily available. And I tell you, the biggest gimmick that I see out there nowadays is the online control module repair, refurbishing. What are they doing to refurbish these things if they're not plugging them into a car?
Right.
That's
to test.
It only works in your car with your VIN, right? So they can't just plug it into another car. And I've dealt with so many that if you were to just call me first and say, "Hey Lou, here's what I got going on," most of the time I can narrow down what the issue is you're having, and I can tell you if it is the control module or not, just by talking through, what's happening. Where maybe I should start my own web-based business. Send me your module. I'll blow it off with some electronic cleaner, call it good, let somebody else figure out. Yeah, it was fine when it left here. You must have had electrostatic discharge.
Right. Must have fried out when you put it in the car.
Too close to your microwave or something
that.
Or
online selling of keys, especially smart keys.
Oh, do not buy your keys
please
off of eBay.
Don't waste your
Amazon.
$50 or $60 on a Chinese key.
Now, if you want to buy the housing, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're not talking about the case cover. We're talking about a used or brand new replacement electronic key.
It blows my mind.
You can't do nothing with it.
It still is available online and has not been flagged as a fraudulent site. I mean, all the time people bring in keys that are DOS 2 key.
I get it all the time online. I just bought these keys. Where can I go get a program?
No Mercedes. No Mercedes emblem. It has that raised black round little plastic disc on there. It's like, I'm sorry, you wasted your money.
And
Send it back.
They could have just called. So the people that are afraid of the stealership, they end up spending way more than they ever would have. If they'd have just give me 5 minutes of your time, give me a call, and let me talk you through what's happening, you'll see that they're not bad guys, right?
Right.
We've got contacts throughout many different makes and model or manufacturers. We'll say manufacturers. We got friends that we've worked with throughout the years that work in all the brands, right? And we know the good guys that are out there. And there's a lot of times I hook up people with other people and say, you got this problem with the car. Let me give this guy's number. He'll help you out, right? And a lot of times it's just information. If you go armed with information to a shop, as in knowledge, not like defensive information.
Right.
Like, don't you dare try to screw me because I know how this works.
Right.
Don't go there like that.
Yeah.
Just go there and talk to them. Say, well, here's my understanding. Is there anything you can add? Am I on the right track? I'll never forget a lot of stuff. This one dude tells me, I already know all that. Okay, let's go with a technical term, right? The term is ask hole, right? So you ask a question and then you tell me I'm wrong. You, my friend, are an asshole. Okay, that one I'm gonna dub to my buddy Nick because he came up with he told me that one. That one, a pretengineer, someone who thinks they're engineer, a pretengineer. So don't ask someone a question like, "Hey, how does that can of pop open?" Well, Lou, you pull the tab and it snaps open, and then you respond, "No, it doesn't." You, my friend, are an asshole. So this guy tells me, I know everything there is to know about air suspension. I just can't for the life of me figure out why the compressor won't come on. You, my friend, are an asshole because if you knew everything there was to know about that, I'm pretty sure you would know.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah,
There's not.
So then I tell him, well, here's what's going on. No, that can't be right. Okay, sorry I wasted your time.
Well,
on about your business.
Good luck out there.
What an asshole.
Right.
But yeah, so you can arm yourself with knowledge. There's plenty of places on the internet, right? I'm gonna be for the internet on this one. There are some times that you can find a forum where somebody uploaded the right information, or you can Google how something works, and sometimes there's a good, genuine document. There's nothing wrong with printing it out and maybe bringing it with you and saying, here's what I understand. Is there any truth to this? Right. Does this apply to my model? Can you give me information on how something works? I mean, there's plenty of times I've printed out stuff for people just because I'd rather them know. I'd rather take my 10 minutes to let them know. That way it saves them in the long run. Except the one time. It was just one time. So
it does happen.
So Parts walks out and he goes, "Hey, you want to talk to this guy on the phone?" I'm like, "I'm busy. I don't want to talk to this guy on the phone. What does he need?" And he says, "Well, he wants to know if a 32 millimeter wrench is what he needs to take his rear view mirror down." So my reply was, if you're dumb enough to use a wrench, 32 sounds good to me.
Absolutely. So, where did you find a 32 millimeter wrench?
What in the world are you doing? It didn't make sense, but it just,
How do you fit that even?
I mean, I end up going on the phone and talking to him, but just at that moment, you blow my mind. But
right. And to be educated and take information into, that will honestly weed out a lot of quality or less than quality employees that you'll run across at a dealership too. If you're well educated and they're not afraid of you being well educated in a craft or a thing that they work with every day and are used to dealing with, they will want to talk to you about. They'll want to share the information they have. They'll want to find out what you know.
Well, it's
they'll
nice
want to be able to get
talk
to
somebody,
that understands. It's
somebody
great.
who wants to know the background, the stuff that you deal with. Let me tell you how this works.
And that's a challenge we run across too every day, is just explaining to the various different knowledge base of people. We get people that have no idea how any system of a car even works or any basic understanding of a vehicle.
They don't even care. They don't. I just want it to run. Just whatever it takes to run, so I can get to work.
But trying to explain and sell them the repair that's required to get their vehicle back on the road is sometimes more challenging than someone that asks questions, that knows. Usually they're more straightforward and able to accept and understand what we explain to them as a repair process needed for their vehicle. So it doesn't ever hurt to ask questions. It's always a good thing, and usually you can use that as a way to weed out good or bad people.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll always be big conveyors of communication, just nonstop. Sure. We want to push that as much as possible because you already in your mind may think that when you go to the shop, you're already on the defense. Don't go there on the defense. Go there midway, right? So you're on the fence, okay, and you're just waiting to see which way they're going to steer you.
Right. I always try to have the opinion of going into it with an open mind. Give the person the benefit of the doubt until they straight up lie to your face or try to tell you something that factually is not true. And then that point is going to throw up a red flag, and you have the right to...
Tell you what, story time number 4 right here, right? So I'm at work. The wife calls and says, my tire's low. What do I do? I'm at the gym. Well, right around the block is a wizard mechanic shop that says something about 500,000 miles, right? So, in my opinion,
they should know what they're doing.
They should know what they're doing, right? So she goes to this shop. She tells me the guy couldn't find anything. He wants to change the valve stem. And I said, well, the tire lost air in one day. It's going to be obvious, right? Because we got the tire sensor monitor, right? So, if it was over time and it finally came on, it was like 10 PSI difference, right? That, to me, that's a leak. That's not a seep. That's a leak, right? She takes it there. They put a valve stem in it and brings it back. The very next morning, it's done for.
Flat.
Okay. So I call him up. I say, listen, I don't have a rack. I used to work on stuff myself. Can I just drop it off? Just please put it in a dunk tank. Look for bubbles. What we do is take a tire off. We put it in like a little pool of water. Sometimes we can lock it down or just lay it in there. We wait for bubbles to emerge, and we just trace the bubbles back to where the hole is. Sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes it's obvious. So I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe, there are times where a tire won't leak unless it's on the car and there's pressure on it. I mean, there's instances. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt. Bring it back to them. I parked the car. I backed it in. I back all of my cars in case a zombie apocalypse hits. I can shit and get. I get in the car.
I get it.
Crank over the key, and I'm gone. There ain't none of this. Let me back up. Let me go first.
That.
Oh, no. I'm out.
Right.
Okay? That's my goal. Back it in expressly. Okay. So
hard park.
I drop it off like 6:30 in the morning. Boss picks me up. I go to work. All day long, no phone call. Cool. Whatever. Maybe it's soaking.
I'm sure it's fixed.
They must have taken care of it right away because it's just a tire leak, right? I drive by there on lunch, car in the same spot. The odds of them parking it backwards in that same spot, pretty nil, right?
Yeah.
Come back from lunch, hour and a half, 2 hours later, whatever. Something. It was a day. It was a bad day. So get back to work. No communication. Okay. End of day. 3:00 comes. I say, hey, buddy. I call him up. I say, listen, I'm heading down that way. Can I take a look at my car? Is it done or what's going on? Oh yeah, we're good. Just come on now. We'll talk about it. Okay. So I go down there, car again, same spot, right? I'm like, there's unless they went out there with the hose, unless they have a 200-foot hose, because this was the other end of the lot, right?
Maybe they took the wheel off. Took it back into the shop.
You never know, right? Maybe I didn't park it in that spot and I was misremembering. I was still benefit of the doubt. I did not want to argue over something stupid like a tire.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy, right? I don't want to be those guys that treated me the way I know what I'm doing. You should have. Okay, so
now I'm crossing into skeptical.
Okay, all right. I see. I can see your brow.
Right.
So
very furrowed.
I go and I get to the service guy, and he brings me back outside to my car. Okay. And he's walking with me out there and he goes, yeah, we've had it. We've been checking it all day. It's not leaking at all. I said, oh, it's not, huh? He goes, no, it's not. I said, so what did you do to check it? Well, we sprayed the tire all the way down. And I look at the tire. I'm like, it's still dirty. It's not even like rocks are still in there, like where you wouldn't have picked them out of the tread or rubbed your hand around the tire or nothing like that, And he says, well, the tech came out here and did it. I said, okay, so how much air did he put in there? Well, he filled it up all the way. I'm like, well, sometimes I overpressurize it, right, to see if extra pressure would help it leak faster, right? And he goes, oh, I'm sure he did that. I'm like, you're sure? Or he did do that? I says, to tell you the truth, man, I don't think you moved my car at all. He goes, no, I did. We did. I said, okay, I'll be right back. So I started the car up and I reset my odometer every time I drop it off somewhere. Nothing was on there. There should at least been a 1 block to drive it forward, right, and even push it back, right? I mean, it should have been a quarter mile. I mean, it's it's not that. It was a good jaunt from the parking lot to the shop, right? None of that was to be had. He continued with the lies. I'm not even going to say accidentally lying. He was blatantly lying to my face. Sir, we've had it in the shop. We can't find the leak. Everything's good. Wow. Listen, dude. The tire pressure didn't change. It's still 6 pounds lower than it was when I left here this morning, right? Like, it wasn't even like you fill it back up. And if you did, It's leaking because it's 6 pounds difference. I lost my shit on the guy. So
to me, that makes no sense. What does he think's going to happen? Are you going to die on the way home?
He was a kid, right?
Is he going to die on the way home and not have to deal with this tomorrow?
I don't know. So
the leak's not going to fix itself.
I said, listen, buddy, I need you to stop. I said, just stop because you're not helping yourself. I said, I know what it's like to bullshit somebody and you're doing a horrible job, right? I'm like, you didn't even move my car, did you? He goes, sir. I says, don't just we're done, right? Give me my receipt for whatever if I owe anything, right? When is your manager here? He goes, he'll be here tomorrow. I said, I'll be back talking to him tomorrow. I came home, I went in the house and I made up dish soap and water. I went outside and I sprayed the tire down, which I should have done in the first place. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to fix I don't have the stuff to fix my own tire, right?
Right.
But goddamn it, on the way home that day, I did. I brought my stuff, right? So I found the leak. I was so hot, I made a Facebook post. It's on my Facebook. I recorded. It was at the edge of the damn, right before the edge of the wheel in the tread, clear as day, a piece of metal sticking out. How they missed it, they just didn't even care. They didn't even look for it. There was no thoughts given, right, at all. So I recorded the video, showing the leak, showing the spot on the car that it was. So when I went back to the manager, I said, look, dude, here's what your guy didn't do to my car. Not only did I put a $60 tire pressure monitor valve stem sensor setup in there that didn't fix anything, I brought it back the next day. It sat there the whole day. He didn't even bring it in the shop. Then he tried to tell me he brought it in the shop. The manager was extremely apologetic. He pulled a trick out of the book that I didn't know they could do. Free oil change. Ooh, free oil change. Dang. Like, I'm going to take it here for an oil change after you can't fix my tire. So I said, okay, your employee, he goes, listen, the guy's a kid. I've had issues with him. I'm trying to work with him. I can't apologize enough. So, okay, I'm not going to yell at you because, it wasn't your fault directly. I'm like, but, I posted on my Facebook and I tagged your shop, right? So people are going to know. I'm like, that's bad reputation. He goes, listen, if you can take it down, I appreciate it. I says, I will, maybe. So I didn't. But the point was, okay, if the guy would have said, I'm sorry, we didn't get out here to check it. We were too busy.
Right.
I'd have been mad for a second that I'd left it there all day. But guess what? I was coming back either way. Sure. Whatever. I'll bring it back tomorrow. Not a big deal. Don't lie to me and tell me you brought it in. You checked it. You couldn't find nothing. And just keep going with the stories. Unbelievable. And it blew my mind. So the manager did his job and he diffused the situation. Of course, I didn't go in there guns a-blazing because it wasn't his fault, right? I just plead my case. Because again, the guy yelling and screaming ain't going to get what he wants, right? Sure. The guy who goes in there calm, cool, collected, pleads his case, shows him the evidence. You guys can hash it out from there. If they choose not to do anything about it, then I recommend going to the yell and scream and throwing stuff because throwing stuff always gets attention. But at
least get a free oil change.
The guy did his stuff, and again, I gave him the benefit of the doubt all the way up to the point the guy lied to me. Once he crossed that line, it was game over, dude. And he's lucky that it was me and not another customer who may have physically attacked him. You never know what people are going to do, right?
Or the other side of it where people just give up and go home and think then they checked it and it's fine. And you come out, your wife or you yourself going to work the next day and the tire's flat. And then you've got to deal with that.
That is an extremely good point. If I had trusted him, who knows what could have happened? It could have had a blown out or something like that.
Sure.
But, touching on the tire monitor sensors and winter, your car is going to do something that is done for eons.
You just
you never would have known until the government decided that we needed tire pressure monitor sensors in the wheels, which is a good thing because you never know when your tire pressure is good or not.
Right.
I call them muffin tops. If you can look at the wheel and see it bulging on the sides, on both sides of the rim, the wheel,
some issues.
Then the tire pressure needs checked. Believe it or not, I'm about to blow your minds. When you open the driver's door, there's a yellow sticker there. And on said yellow sticker, not only is the tire size for all 4 tires, including the spare, but guess what else is there? The pressure of the tires.
Right.
Not
on the side of the tire.
44 PSI that's on the side of the tire, which most of your dads and brother-in-laws and brothers have all taught all you ladies all your life. The pressure on the side of the tire is the maximum pressure that tire can handle. That tire can go on a multitude of different applications, okay? So you're always want to follow either what's on the yellow sticker in the door jamb, which is on every make and model, or it may be on the fuel door, or the spare tire cover in the trunk on some older cars. It tells you where the tire pressure's at. But when you put the air in your tires, you want to do it on, we'll say, the average temperature of the day, right? Sure. So not high noon when it's the hottest part of the day in summer, not an extremely cold morning. Do it in like a mid-morning afternoon where the temperature is about average, right? Say 70 degrees, okay? If you can get that. Fill up the tires to where they're at before you drive the car. Or if you do drive it, give it a few minutes to cool down, because as you drive, the temperature expands, and as it cools down, it contracts back to what it was. Now in winter, air thins out. I'm not a scientist, so don't quote me on this, but the colder it gets, the more the air loses pressure inside the tire. So it doesn't lose the air, it just, the pressure decreases.
Contracting.
Correct. Okay. So you can go from 32 PSI down to 26 on an extremely cold day. But by the end of the day, you're back up to 36 because the sun cooking the black tires, or you're driving it, right? So there is a swing of a couple PSI up and a couple PSI down. And the PSI means pounds per square inch. So the first thing you don't want to do is freak out when the tire light comes on. Most cars will tell you the individual pressures on the wheels, but some just say tire, so you want to check them. But the one thing you want to do is try to keep them consistent. And when wintertime comes around and the temperature is going to be it's going to average extremely low, then you want to refill the tires back up to where they should go. And then when summertime comes around and it's hotter out, the air pressure may have equalized, or you may have to lower it some. So there is some truth to summer or winter air. I'm going to say it. I'll be the first one to say it.
And that's one thing where nitrogen does come into play. It will not be a end-all, be-all for setting tire pressures, but it is a less volatile gas, so it will not expand and contract the same way as outside air does.
I will tell you that you're going to have some naysayers that are going to shake their heads. I was one of those back in the day who says, why would I want to charge somebody to filter nitrogen out of the air? What more of a gimmick is there?
Right.
But we had a customer at the Chevy dealer who raced his Corvette, and he would come in and he did a digital printout, right, of his tire pressure sensors in his whatever scanner he had that he was doing the stuff with.
Sure.
And when he would race his Corvette, it would only raise 2 PSI from the base pressure value, and that was it. Where if you had normal air in the tire with moisture in there, it actually went 6 to 7 PSI more, which, in the long run, it's not really hurting anything. But when you're a race car guy, and that's where it derives from, I believe, is NASCAR and something else, right? So, it's a more controlled, stable swing up and down. And I've noticed it too. I had a car that had actual, sensors in it that told on the dash. It was my Impala. And I would watch it, and sure enough, on a hot day, it would increase only 2 to 3 PSI. Whereas to if it was air, it would go 5 to 6 PSI, which, the average consumer, you're not going to notice anything drivability wise, but it's more uniform wear in the tire. It stays in the tire longer because I think they're bigger molecules. Yeah, so they can't seep out of the rubber or the seals or whatnot. So it does have its benefits.
So there are benefits, to nitrogen. It's not required. I wouldn't spend more than $20 or $30 on getting a nitrogen fill, or have anyone charge you to top it back up with nitrogen. Well, outside air is 80% nitrogen, so
most of them are one-time charge anyways. Where
usually
once you pay for it, they give you the green caps to recognize you have it, and then from there on out, no matter where you go, it's free refills. I don't think anybody would. I would hope nobody is constantly charging you for nitrogen, unless you're changing tires. You're using a machine; they got to pay for that machine somehow. So that's where some of the or most of the cost comes into play.
And I really only recommend that to people that just do not want to mess with tire pressures ever, or as little as possible, because you're still going to have to adjust them realistically twice a year, once in the winter, once in the spring. And it's just something that is a normal vehicle ownership. I think the most owners' manuals tell you to check them monthly, and people just don't do that.
No, not at all.
Simple thing.
Basically, every 400 miles when you fill up your fuel tank, give or take, you should check your oil, check the air in the tires. And if you're getting your oil changed, no matter where you're getting it changed at, ask them if they're checking the air in the spare. We've touched on that. There's nothing's worse than having an emergency and then having another emergency compound on top of that because you don't have a backup spare.
Or checking the valve stem on the spare. On older vehicles, many times that valve stem's been sitting there in the trunk. A lot of heat, expansion, contraction temperatures in the trunk, and it'll start to rot. So as soon as you try to add or touch it, it just breaks off.
A tire is really only good for about 4 or 5 years. People will ride on them for 6 or 7, right? And they last, but that doesn't mean that they're right, So you can have a spare in the trunk that's been there for 10 or 15 years. You go to put it on and
it'll
lasts.
rupture.
It lasts a couple miles and it blows up because the rubber just degraded over these years.
For sure. And you have to think about the environment inside your trunk, especially in the Midwest where we see such huge temperature changes between summer and winter.
Oh, absolutely.
Over 100 degrees in the summer and below 0 in the winter. It takes its toll on that rubber and it starts to crack and degrade, and you'll usually be able to see that yourself, but a good technician will spot a tune, recommend replacement as needed. Porsche, I think, has their tire time recommended replacement at 6 years. So after 6 years, they consider a tire beyond its usable life. So something to keep in mind. There's date stamps on every tire that will tell you when it was produced.
There's a date code that tells you the week and the year. I'm not sure if it says day. I'd have to double check. It's been a while.
I think it's just week and year.
Yeah, and you can Google that. Or you can go on Tire Rack. They tell you what every number means. Which is good to know. It's just general basic knowledge. And the biggest takeaway is the 44 psi on the side of the tire is not what your tire should be filled to.
Don't max fill.
Do not max fill. You will know this. So, again, our main goal with Stealership Stories is to let you know they're not the enemy. We're good. Mechanics in general, right? So even though I'm a dealership guy, we're not going to make a podcast that's going to steer you away from any one place. We just find what works for you, what's convenient, where they treat you right, what's going to give you the best experience. If you're chasing the dollar amount, are you going to get what you pay for? Hell yeah, you're going to get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
You want to bring your own parts and pay bare minimum? You're going to find that shop, and that's what they're going to do. And you're going to have the most horrible car ownership experience you can ever imagine.
Money is everything. Buy a car that you can work on yourself and do it yourself, because that is really the only way you're going to ensure that your
base model Cavalier, like I had for 15 years,
an old muscle car. Something with a carburetor or just something old.
Take some night classes, learn how to work on stuff yourself, or find a tutor, automotive tutor or something like that.
That's fine too.
But, so people, when they heard of us doing the Stealership Stories podcast, they go, you're crazy. You still have an employee working, right? And you had a good reputation and you guys are going to cause trouble with both. Well, we don't believe that's the case, because most of the stories that, we're going to tell is just stuff we've been experienced to. Doesn't necessarily mean that we were the purveyors of the story, right? So I have no worries, and Ralph's pretty comfortable too, because most of this stuff happened early on in our journey, right? And I'm gonna call it a journey because you just it's life. You learn, you adapt, you take on new challenges and experiences or whatnot, and you just ultimately you grow up at one point. I mean, when we met, I was, 25, 26, something like that. Now I'm not 25 or 26. So, we've had our drunken stupor nights to where at 5 o'clock we punch out, we head over to the local tavern and drink our sours away, and then, calling roadside to pick us up. But, you grow up and you adapt, you learn the right way to do things. I've always told people I'm not the smartest guy. I'm not smart. I'm knowledgeable and experienced. And the only reason I know how to do everything right is because I've done everything wrong every which way possible.
Right.
That's how you learn how to do it the right way. We've both had great experience with working with the wrong kind of people that wanted to do it the wrong way. And we just were able to tell the difference between wrong and right. And we took the right path, right, to do things the right way. So our email is stealershipstories@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. Just Google us. You'll find us.
It'll come up.
Shoot us an email. I recently made a new friend, Jesus. I'd like to give you a shout out. He emailed me about his Nissan. He's been working on his brakes for quite a bit. I emailed him back and forth, or Messenger rather, Facebook Messenger, hit me up. I'll help you out. I'm not telling you this because I want to take your money, right? So if you're already thinking that, that's not the case. Somebody out there is listening and they have an issue and they need help, or they need a second opinion, or they need some guidance. I don't know everything, but I know enough people and I have all the access to information to help you get on the right path, or get you, in the right direction, and like we talked before, just a little bit of information can be all the world to somebody, right? Is this shop correct in telling me this? I mean, people will tell me, I can't believe they told me this. Is this right? Well, you tell them, well, why would you think it's wrong? And I know it sucks to hear that because it's expensive and you don't want to pay that kind of money, but that is right.
Right.
Like, there's nothing that I see in what you're telling me that is leading me to think that they're mistreating you or leading you the wrong way. So here's a couple more questions you can ask them and let me know the answers, or let me see the dollar amount in the estimate, and I can at least see what they may be after, right? Because I can't tell you another shop is right or wrong. They're looking at the car. It's in front of them, right?
Or that may be what's required to go on to the next step. You just never know, again, like you said, until you're in front of the vehicle and know it's every possible situation, which just isn't possible to know.
And you got to be careful who you ask. You got to be careful who you ask, because nobody wants to be wrong.
Right.
And I was fine, and don't tell the wife, but I was fine with being wrong, right? If it helped the customer, right?
Sure.
So a lot of times you ask somebody, hey, is this correct? They're going to tell you no, because they want to be the winner. They want to provide you with the best information or answer, because they either want your business or they just want to be right. That damn ego is always in the way, right? It's always in the way. So Stealership Stories, we are for the mechanic. We are for the customer. We are for the people.
Everybody.
Let's be for that Bud Light.
Yes.
Signing out.